Hey everybody, it's Angela and I am back with another process video, and this is going to be a farming layout, and I don't know at this point if I'm going to use the Photoplay Fresh Picked collection or the Homegrown collection by Echo Park, but I wind up actually picking items out of both, mostly because our equipment, our combine that we use is a John Deere combine, so I have that red and yellow going on there, and I wanted to pull those colors out. And the one collection had a better yellow and one collection had a better green, so I wind up kind of combining them. And then there's not any other, I don't have any other ephemera or things that go along with these two collections, so I pull out all the sticker sheets and cut apart cards because I know I'm going to need to use those as my embellishments. And then I'm just going to use some die cuts to die cut a few flowers to go with it to give myself a little dimension on this layout as well. And there I am, I'm just auditioning the greens, and I find that green is the closest to the John Deere colors, and then I find a gold one that works well too. So I wasn't sure whether to use that linen paper on the left or the wood grain, and things just popped a little more on that wood grain paper. So I wind up using the linen as one of my mats, and then I use the yellow and the green as a mat as well to bring in those John Deere colors. And so I'm going to put these photos as a central strip going down the kind of the center of my page, or just off to one side. And so I just go ahead and put those down, and I butt them right up against each other, so that way I can put the mat all the way around four sides, so that I'll have some of that color showing all the way around the photographs. And I don't have the greatest photos from this day. These are the best 3 photos that I had. We were harvesting orca beans, and it was the first time we had grown orca beans. We had a contract, I think we grew about 15 acres of beans, and it was a rotation crop for us because we usually grow grain, but it's good for the soil to have a rotation of beans on there. So we didn't have all the proper knowledge, we didn't have all the proper tooling, and so we struggled our way through that season. I don't think we actually made a profit on those beans, but we did learn, so we profited in that respect. If you don't have failures, you never learn, right? So anyhow, it was over 100 degrees out in the field. It was dusty. We were a little bit depressed because we were struggling and everything. So I only got really these 3 photographs, but I wanted to tell the story because, like I said, not everything that you try is a success first time out. And so we have since this year we did some more test plots. We did a couple acres of black and red beans this year, along with some test plots of some gold and other beans, and I'll show you those here in a second because I make some shaker cards with or shaker pockets with them. But yeah, we're learning how to do it, and we're getting tooled up to do it properly for the future, and so this was a good learning experience for us. And what I want to do is, since it's a central strip layout, you don't have too many places for a lot of extra embellishing, so I'm just going to do some embellishing on each side of that strip. And I'm going through the cut apart cards, just picking things that are a little more farming related or fresh food related versus cooking. Since I'm not really cooking on this layout, we're growing. I'm just kind of looking through to familiarize myself with what stickers and stuff I have available. And I really love both of these collections. They're both gorgeous collections. So I liked that one with the little tractor on it. I thought that was cute, but I wanted to just go ahead and cut it out as a circle. And I wind up putting that one up on foam tape later just to give a little dimension, because I don't have any other ephemera or pieces that go with these 2 kits. So I kind of just have to either die cut my own to get a little dimension, or put things up on foam tape or whatever. So I decide to go ahead and put my ephemera kind of over on the left hand side, because I'm going to have on the right hand side a divided page protector, and I'm going to make some shaker pockets with some of the different beans we've been growing. And so that way my layout will kind of be on the left and all the beans will be on the right. So I'm kind of liking that. I thought about putting them all down the side, and then I thought, no, I'm just going to do more, cluster them more at the top. And there are the shaker pockets. I've just put in a bunch of different beans and that we've been growing at the farm, and I'm going to put in these two pockets that I'm cutting some cards for, I will put what bean is what and a little bit of journaling. So I just want to kind of bring over two of my matte colors over to those two cards. Do a little bit of decoration on them, but they will have a lot of verbiage that I'm going to put on them. And when I put the beans in there, I just sewed the pockets closed on my sewing machine, and then at the end of my threads, at the start and finish of my little threads, I put just a touch of glossy accents so that I would know that it wasn't going to come unraveled. And I actually put little dots of glossy accent all down the sewing just to be sure, because you know this page is going to get flipped and hopefully it's going to be around for a while. I don't know how the beans are going to hold up, if they're going to, you know, start shattering in there, you know, from being handled. Maybe I should have put backer cards behind the beans, but I kind of like the fact that you'd be able to see through to the next page. So I wanted to kind of leave it and play up the fact that it's clear. So anyhow, I really love how it turned out. I think it's going to be cool looking. I want to do that technique again with some of the grains that we've grown and some of the heads of wheat and stuff like that that I can actually put right into my scrapbook. So here you can see I'm just using a piece of foam tape to lift that tractor up just to get a little bit of dimension on there. I also like this tag, and I cut the top down so that I can get this hole punch, because it's not a very deep hole or neck on that hole punch to get it in there, but then I wind up covering the whole of the tag up later anyway, so it didn't really matter. But yeah, I'm liking adding just that little touch of red and orange in there, you know, just so it doesn't get too themey with just the green and gold. So I have the what's for dinner, I don't know, like eating fresh and grow your own garden and things like that. And I'm just going to put the other items flat to the page, just as like a small little collage of embellishments there. And I'm just kind of clustering them so that none of the background shows up through. I don't want any trapped space in there. So I'm liking that. And I want to put my title over on the right. So I go in my stash and I look through my thickers to try to find, because the stickers that came with the two page kits that I had, I didn't like the font on one of them, and the other one was the dark wood grain, so it wouldn't really show up very well on my background paper. So I needed something with a little more contrast. And so I thought, well, if I really want a lot of contrast, I could go with these gold chickenity. If I want texture, I could go with these burlappy ones. But in the end, I go with this cleaner font it's kind of a wood grain also, but it's light enough that there's enough contrast between these letters and the background paper that you can still read it. It's not in your face, but it's very readable. So I just go ahead and I spell out Orca Bean, and originally I was going to make it Orca Bean Harvest, and so I just pull out those letters and I decide I'm going to put them kind of on that plank of the wood grain background, and I kind of center them on there, and I was going to put Harvest down below. So I look through my cut apart cards and I find this cool little banner, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to fussy cut the banner out of this card and write the word Harvest on that below. But when I get it cut out and put it down there below Orca Bean, it just kind of is a little bit too busy, so I scrap that idea and I just make the title plural Orca Beans. And Orca beans, if you've never heard of them before, are a pretty little black and white bean that look kind of like a little orca whale. And they're also called calypso beans sometimes, or yin yang beans. There's several different varieties of black and white speckled beans that are available. And so we did the Orca beans, and they are wonderful. They taste so good. They're creamy and wonderful, and I cook with them a lot. I cook with dried beans quite a bit, especially with the Instant Pot, because you don't have to pre-soak your beans to do them in the Instant Pot, so that makes it really easy to cook dried beans. So in 40 to 50 minutes, you've got beans for dinner. And if you put a roast or something on top of your beans in the Instant Pot and turn it on and stuff, you've got a wonderful beef and beans. You can turn your beans into baked beans, or you can make them more Mexican style beans, or there's just a lot of things you can do with it. So we eat them quite a bit, and everybody really loves the flavor. The wholesaler that bought all these beans from us, they did really well. The customers loved them, and so they want us to grow them again. And so we need to learn to, really be able to do this process, quickly and profitably, and be able to do it year after year in the future. So in order to add a little more kind of depth and texture to my layout, I just went ahead and used a couple little flower dies out of my stash, some die cuts, and just cut a few flowers out of the paper just so I could sprinkle some of that color, kind of break up all the straight lines, and just kind of pull everything together. And I think about putting some flowers on my two cards that are going to go over here. And I don't know if I auditioned some on there, but I think I just go with using some staples for texture on these. Let's see what I do here. I know I go over and I cut a few, and because I use that kind of olive green banner on that top card, the green that I used over on my layout doesn't really match. And I've already got the gold there in that other color, and I've already got the linen color there, so the flowers just weren't looking all that great on there. And so I think I go ahead and it's like, it just wouldn't work. But I did want to add a little bit of texture or something extra on there. So I just go with using my tiny attacher. I put this extra little card down and a tiny attacher on there, and that gives just enough texture on there to add some extra interest. So I put a couple staples on this one as well, and then I'll be doing all my journaling and kind of saying which bean is which. There are Orca beans in that upper left. Those are the little black and white ones I was talking about. In the bottom left, there are beefy resilient Grex beans. In the top center are Whipple beans. Bottom center are Golden Bush. Top right are the black beans. They're called Jet. And the bottom right, I believe, are the Chardonnay kidney type beans. So so a lot of different kinds, all very healthful and flavorful and wonderful to eat. So I just go ahead and do some finishing touches by putting some enamel dots in the center of my flowers. That just spreads some more of that color out. And then here you can see just all the different tags and flowers, the enamel dots. You can see the combine, kind of picking up the beans there in the center. It says what's for dinner. This is what's for dinner and eating fresh and stuff like that. And there we are picking up the beans off the ground with the pickup header. There are the beans coming out, being threshed in the back of the combine and going into the bin. And there is a front view of the combine picking up the rows of beans. And the title with a couple extra flowers there on the right. So I love how that turned out. I love the fresh colors on it. And I love it being next to this kind of shaker page. There's a close-up of the Orca beans and the journaling card, and there's the black beans, the Whipple, which are kind of a red and white speckly bean. the bush gold, which are beautiful golden color, and those nice red kidney beans over there on the bottom right. So yeah, so that is my double page spread. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions or anything, just leave me a comment below. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.